It lives just outside the small town of Scottsville, beyond Main and Valley, off of Route 6, on the other side of the tracks, and along the banks of the James. You won't find one anywhere else in Virginia.
I have never seen anything like this before.
In fact, it's the only one in America.
Have you all been here before?
First time.
First time?
This flat-bottom oddity attracts the curious, young and old.
It's fascinating. There's a sense of history to this place.
Generations of Virginians stretching back to 1870 have been showing up at this spot.
Now is the fun part.
Looking for a lift.
What many people don't realize is that the science behind all this has been utilized in the U.S. probably since the mid-1600s.
A science using cranks, cables,
It's also a time when we ask for volunteer help.
and a lot of perspiration.
But once we get out a little further in the channel, the current will grab us a little more.
The Hatton Ferry connecting Albemarle and Buckingham counties is the last pole-operated ferry in the United States.
And up until 1970, the ferry operated dusk to dawn, 7 days a week.
200 years ago, poled ferries helped move a young nation, carrying everything from people and produce to cattle and carriages.
These islands play heck with the current.
It's not the fastest way to get across the James,
It's very serene being out here.
but for visitors, it's certainly one of the prettiest.
You feel very close to the environment, to the water, to the trees, to the air. It's wonderful.
Tourists Karen Martin and her husband are soaking up Virginia's history and happened to stumble upon the ferry.
We came here because we wanted to get a little more sense of the authentic life here in the area.
The couple from Maryland never expected a trip to yesteryear quite like this.
You get a better sense of what the people before us were like, what their lives were like, and what they were able to do.
But what's the old saying? All good things must come to an end?
Once it's gone, very rarely does anybody ever recreate it.
For decades, VDOT has been the financial muscle behind the ferry, shelling out $21,000 a year to keep her running. But floating in a river of red ink $3.5 billion deep, the state needed to make cuts.
We would lose as Virginians, as a state. We pride ourselves on our history. That's one of the ways in which we define ourselves among the 50, right?
The ferry and its history were cast adrift, ending its long, slow run. The news blindsided those with roots in the area.
The pending loss of it sort of woke people up.
Albemarle native and self-avowed history buff Steve Meeks did not want to see the ferry float into oblivion.
It's part of my heritage, it's part of my neighborhood.
So, with pole in hand, Steve stepped in and bought the ferry from the state for the Albemarle County Historical Society.
I love it. It's a one of a kind.
It's been a steep learning curve for this home renovator by trade.
Did we hit the rock?
No one promised it was going to be easy.
Wow, this is hard.
So now on weekends, Steve and a small team of ferrymen are literally shouldering the responsibility of keeping our past afloat.
As we get bigger and bigger bridges crossing the river, people are losing that connection with nature, with the rivers, with their heritage.
Riders could not be more pleased.
To be out actually on the river, to sort of feel that connectivity with an era that's long past is something that's invaluable.
Dave Higginbotham and his family drove more than an hour to climb on board for the first time.
It's transcendent. The way in which the water is falling over the fall line, even with the river as low as it is right now, there's a peaceful serenity to this that we don't normally have in our daily lives.
A ride to nowhere he wanted to share with his son.
So we've got it documented. It's on film. It's in his memory. He'll talk about it now. It'll be one of those family moments that we refer to frequently.
Most of the people, I'd say 95% of the people who come down here do not even want to bring their cars out on it. They just want to stand on it and experience the trip across the river.
Steve didn't save the ferry for fame and fortune. He's richer in so many other ways.
It gives me a tremendous feeling. It makes it all the efforts worthwhile, all the endeavors.
Interest in the Hatton Ferry has been soaring since Steve rescued her, and nothing is making Virginia's new ferryman happier.
I mean, at the end of the day, if I'm at her all day and I go home, I'm sore, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, but I'm content.
So next time you find yourself traveling through Scottsville and you see a man on the James with aching muscles and a wide smile, it's probably Steve.
I think we're there.